to me and my uncle.
NFL Weekly Rundown. Wild card week, I guess we'll call it. We've got a little bit of a dog intrusion going on right now. Emily is doing her best. Yes, and she is gone. The dog, not Emily.
We got her.
Okay, we got her. Danny, how are you?
Good.
Let's talk a little bit about what happened week 18.
The Bears won.
The Bears won, and I almost forgot what it felt like after a Bears win.
I didn't even watch it.
I heard you rewatched it though?
Yeah.
Because YouTube TV recorded it?
Yeah.
And what did you think? How about that punt where DJ Moore was like, oh, it's coming to me, it's coming to me. And then somebody else caught it down the sideline, Josh Blackwell.
I didn't see that part.
It was like a trick play. It was real early in the game in the first quarter. And DJ Moore pretended like the punt was coming to him. And really the punt was way over by the sideline where Josh Blackwell caught it. And all the Packers thought it was going to DJ Moore.
So they all ran to DJ Moore?
And then Josh Blackwell was just bolting down the sideline pretty much by himself with Bears blockers. Touchdown, 94 yards or something like that.
Wow.
It was awesome. DeAndre Swift scored a touchdown. Caleb Williams, he was okay. He threw a touchdown late.
He made pretty high.
Fantasy football ranks.
Not too high.
Not too high. He's not in that starter category yet for fantasy.
Yeah.
But you know what? I went into the game thinking they're going to get crushed. Don't get your hopes up. This game doesn't mean anything, even if they lose. And then as soon as they started playing, I'm just like, beat the Packers. Beat them bad. You know? And then, I mean, it had been, I think before you were born was the last time the Bears won at Lambeau. It was 2015 was the year. So...
Oh, I thought the score was 2015.
No,
That would be kind of weird.
Yeah, and then for Cairo to win it at the end,
yeah,
that was great because think about it. He got his kick blocked against the Packers in the first game when he had a chance to win it. So to get that revenge, to get that win, that feels really good. I don't care that it means nothing. I don't care that it's the last game of the year. Felt good. What about the games that actually mattered? Did you see any of the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Burrow was good. He wasn't his normal great, but he was good enough. And Russell Wilson, whoa, Pittsburgh 4 straight losses.
I mean, they still made the playoffs.
They made the playoffs, but oof, I wouldn't feel real good if I were a Steelers fan right now.
If they won all of those games, they would almost be as good as the Chiefs.
Yeah, they would have a really good record. Speaking of the Chiefs, boy, they just laid down for the Broncos, didn't they?
And Bo Nix got a lot of points for me.
Yeah, Bo Nix was good in your fantasy lineup. That was a smart start. 38-0 was the score of that game, Broncos-Chiefs.
Yeah.
Were there any, Tampa Bay beat the Saints. That was important. That got them in the playoffs. And then the big game. Oh, Sunday night. Oh.
That's horrible.
How much of that did you watch?
Only to like halftime.
Halftime, so it was like 10-6 or something like that.
10-9.
10-9 at halftime.
And the end score was like 9-21.
31.
31.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs just started. I think he caught a touchdown, then ran for 3.
Ran a really long one that I saw.
That was early in the game. Yeah, I think that was the only touchdown of the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think so.
What I was surprised by was how shaky Darnold was.
Yeah.
He kind of had his only really bad game of the year for the Vikings, it seemed like. Well, would you like to hear about our picks from last week?
Sure.
Let's see here.
I don't think I did good.
Well, it was a hard week to pick, remember? Because some of those games, it's just like, is this team even trying? Remember, we didn't know Philadelphia was playing all their backups, and the Rams played all their backups.
Mm-hmm.
So I won 12 games, lost 4. You won 11 games, lost 5. The 5 you lost, we both picked the Packers to beat the Bears because we had no faith. But, hey, I'll take it. I'll take that loss every single time. Carolina beat the Falcons in overtime, so we both missed that one.
But we did make the score pretty close, right?
For the Carolina-Atlanta game? Well, we had it 9 or 8 points, so actually not too close. Buffalo lost to the Patriots. There was one where you're just like, did you see Josh Allen played one play?
Yeah.
So
Did we pick
we picked the Bills, and the
Wow.
Patriots won, which actually knocked the Patriots out of the number 1 draft choice. So now Tennessee has the number 1 draft choice. Cleveland is 2, and the Giants are 3.
Patriots still could take Hunt though. Or
Hunter. I think they could at 4 because they're 4th now. Patriots are 4th. All those teams in the top 3 could probably look at a quarterback. I don't think they all will because there are really only 2 quarterbacks, I think, that will get drafted that high. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. But that win by the Patriots was costly because it got them to fall from 1 to 4. So they might not get their choice of player. The other game we both lost, we both picked Miami to beat the Jets, and the Jets won.
Yeah.
And then you picked the purple to win at Detroit, and I picked the Lions. So I got it right, you got it wrong. There was the difference. On the season, I have 194 wins, you have 192. Should we start at 0-0 for the playoffs, or should we just keep it going? You'd rather stay 2 behind me than just say I won and start over? Okay, we'll keep it going then for the playoffs. Against the spread, though, you still have 5 more wins than me. And I have way more well, like 13 more losses? Yeah, 13 more losses. So you've been much better against the point spread. All right, these games, it's nice because they're all at different times. So if you have the time, you can watch all 6 games that go on this week. What is the first game of Wild Card Weekend at 3:30 on Saturday?
Chargers, Texans.
Yeah, do you show Chargers favored by 3?
Yeah.
Is that your number? Okay.
Is that because Texans have a lot of their good players hurt?
I think it's a little bit of that. And I think it's that if you look at their records, you can see that the Texans, are they only 9-8 or 10-7 or 10-7? And the Chargers are what, 12-5 or 11-6? Okay, so 1 game better. But Houston also, like, okay, they're 10-7. But think about their division. Colts.
Yeah.
Jags, Titans. You should have a good record if you're in that division. So I don't think Vegas, the place where they set these odds, I don't think they necessarily believe that Houston is really that good. What I think about this game, the Chargers win at Las Vegas earned them this trip to Houston. It got them the number 5 seed instead of the number 6 seed. So it's kind of a big deal because if they were the 6th seed, they would have had to go to Baltimore. This seems like a much easier game than having to go to Baltimore. Houston, Stroud, Mixon, Nico Collins, they were in for 1 drive. 1 drive and they scored a touchdown. Well, oh yeah, stay at Arrow. And then they put in the backups, and the backups
scored a touchdown and they were only in for 1 play?
1 drive.
Oh.
So just until they either, punted or kicked a field goal, they ended up scoring a touchdown that drive. And then they put in the backups, and the backups still got the win against the Titans. Both quarterbacks, this is their 2nd trip to the playoffs. Herbert has never won his game. He lost his first game in the playoffs in 2020, 4 years ago. And C.J. Stroud made the playoffs his rookie year, won their first game, and lost their 2nd game. So, what do you think about this game? More than just the score, because we have only 6 games to talk about. Like, what do you think about when the Chargers have the ball? Or, are they going to have it easy? Are they going to struggle? Or, is Stroud going to struggle?
Maybe easy.
Easy, you think, for Herbert?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about when Stroud has the ball?
I mean, Texans do have pretty good defense.
I think that's true. I think the Chargers have a pretty good D too. So, yeah. And sometimes you can't really rank defenses necessarily by fantasy points. I mean, it's kind of an indicator, but it doesn't always tell the full picture. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that list to tell you how good the defenses are. But what do you think about this game? Who's going to be the star? Who is going to get their team the victory?
Herbert.
Herbert?
Yes.
Okay. What do you see as a score? Do you think the Chargers will cover that 3-point spread?
Yeah. LA Chargers 35, Texans 29.
Okay. I remember the Texans playoff game last year. It was in a similar spot. Cleveland was a wild card team, and they visited Houston, and Cleveland was a 2-point favorite. And do you remember what happened in that game? Cleveland got destroyed by C.J. Stroud. It was like 44-16 or something like that.
Wow.
So I just think the playoff crowd in Houston is going to be pretty crazy. I don't necessarily believe in either of these teams, but I just think that the home team in this one is going to find a way to get it done. I'm taking Texans in a mild upset, 22-20.
Right away, we got our first upset.
Right off the bat. So how many can we have in this week of only 6 games? We'll see. I know I'm taking a little bit of a wild pick there with Houston, but what is the Saturday night game at 7?
Steelers Ravens.
I think this maybe went from, what was your point spread you showed there?
Baltimore by 9.5.
Okay, that's what I have too. Because I looked at these ones a little after I did the sheets, so these ones might be a little more up to date. Okay, the Steelers, like I said earlier, they lost 4 in a row. Now those 4 losses: Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. That's 4 pretty good teams that they lost to. But guess what? You're going to get in the playoffs: good teams. So you can't hide. The Ravens have won their last 4 games. And their 2 offensive studs just put up some ridiculous numbers. Lamar Jackson this season, 5,000 combined yards rushing and passing. That's big. And 45 touchdowns running and passing. That's a big season.
Yeah.
And he's going to push Josh Allen for the MVP, I think. One of those 2 is winning it. These teams are division rivals, right? The Ravens and Steelers. Yeah. They played twice this year. Ravens lost at Pittsburgh 16-18. They won at Baltimore. Okay, Pittsburgh won in Pittsburgh 18-16. The Ravens won in Baltimore 34-17. So both teams won when they were at home. I heard that the Steelers might think about playing Fields a little bit. So it could be a little Wilson, a little Fields.
Are they benching him?
I don't know if they're benching him or they just might. I think what they're going to do is if Wilson struggles, they might just pull the plug. Would you go away, Arrow? Stop crying. My God. So 7 p.m. Saturday night, Ravens big favorites. What do you think's going to happen? Division rivals. These teams
Lamar Jackson's year has been really good, and I don't think it's going to stop yet.
I kind of don't think it's going to stop yet either.
So I'm picking Ravens 35-28.
35-28? Okay, so you'll have Pittsburgh covering the spread. I'm going to have Baltimore covering the spread. If they do play Fields, he's never been in a playoff game before. If they play Wilson, he doesn't look like he's playing any good anymore. So I'm going to take Ravens 30-13. Arrow just needs to go away. She's awful. All right. The last of the AFC playoff games happens at noon on Sunday. Who is it, Mr. Sleepyhead?
Broncos, Bills.
Okay. So the Broncos win against the Chiefs' backups, earned them a trip to the playoffs for the first time since 2015, before you were born. And when they made the playoffs in 2015, Peyton Manning was their quarterback, and they won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So it's been a while since Denver has been in the playoffs. The Bills' loss against New England was no big deal. It was a chance to bench their starters, to just get them some rest. So Josh Allen came just so he could get one start, just so it looked like he started the game. He came out for one play, and then he went to the bench. So he's well rested. The last time these teams played, you'd be surprised. The Broncos were bad last year, right? They had Russell Wilson, and their new coach, Sean Payton, was just taking over. In last year, they played in Week 10. Oh, is that Mahomes who went down? Somebody went down.
I don't like Mahomes.
You knocked him off on purpose. Maybe. So Week 10 of last year, the Broncos went to Buffalo, and they actually won the game 24-22. They didn't have Bo Nix. They had Russell Wilson. So... Rusty, I know. That's pretty much my nickname for him. I don't think anybody else calls him that. But that's okay. So, how about your thoughts? Denver at Buffalo, Sunday afternoon. What's going to happen?
I'm picking Buffalo. I think it's now going to be close.
Well, you do think it's going to be close. How come? You don't need a reason.
Yeah.
Bo Nix?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe because it was close last year?
Maybe.
Maybe it was something I said that persuaded you?
Yeah.
Pick it close, but you didn't change your winner, so what are you, what's your score?
I think it's gonna be Buffalo 35, Broncos 34.
That's a close game. I'm gonna say Buffalo 27, Denver 17. So I'm gonna have Buffalo covering this point spread. I think we're different in every game against the point spread, but we're only different on one game so far in the first three, picking the winners. By the way, I was trying to write you a little note. Do you remember what you were gonna say there, or ask me?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
What is one team that you thought was gonna make the playoffs this year that didn't? Like at the starting of the year, that you thought was gonna make the playoffs.
You know who my AFC Super Bowl pick was?
Yeah.
Fins.
Dolphins.
So they were a big fail on my part. In the beginning of the season, I hoped, but I also kind of thought that the Bears could make the playoffs. And they just, they were really bad. Oh, San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Because we didn't know they were going to get so hurt and injured,
Yeah.
Maybe Dallas, maybe.
Yeah.
But that might be about it.
What's a team that you thought wasn't for sure wasn't going to make the playoffs that did? I would say, honestly, Broncos for me.
I would say Broncos, and for me, I would say Washington. Whoa, nobody saw that coming.
I mean, and maybe Rams.
Yeah, the Rams did make it last year.
But
I think. Yeah, they lost to Detroit in the playoffs last year. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise because I think they thought that the 49ers were going to win that division. So, yeah. To be honest, the Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, people thought at the beginning of the year
when J.J. McCarthy got hurt,
yeah,
everyone thought they were going to be horrible.
And they set a number every year at the beginning of the season. The people in Vegas who set these odds that say Buffalo by 8.5 and stuff like that, they'll set a number that says how many wins. 9.5. I think it came down a little bit, but it's okay. You can write 8.5 if you want. But these same people who set the odds for the game, they set the number of wins for every team at the beginning of the year. The Vikings number was 6.5 wins. So you'd either bet, I think they're going to get less than 6.5 wins, or you think they're going to get more. And they got 14.
Yeah.
So that wasn't even close. Amazing. Yeah, so they went way over the expectation for what, the experts thought would happen. So do you agree? Do you have kind of the same list of teams that were surprises? And yeah. It's good to think about that, and then you can kind of see that every year it's not. Oh, Bengals, they missed the playoffs. They weren't the team that I would have thought would have missed the playoffs. But there's kind of like every year there are teams that, for whatever reason, injuries, bad defense, terrible coaching. There's always reasons why some team that you think's going to make the playoffs misses it. And then there's, whether it be luck or a good draft, a surprise rookie like Jaden Daniels.
And
Bo Nix. A new coach like, Washington's got a new coach who kind of brings in a new attitude. And the Chargers have a new coach. So sometimes it can be just, wow, it's a surprise that these teams kind of come from what looks like out of nowhere, because the Vikings, some people were picking them to be last in the division. And then they end up winning 14 games. People probably picked Washington to be worse than at least Philly and Dallas, and they're second place in their division and in the playoffs. So
who's first?
Philly.
Oh, Philly.
Yeah. So you can never. That's why you just, even if you think they're going to be bad or you think they're going to be good, they still have to go out there and play the games, right? And in football, there are just so many injuries and things like that you just never know sometimes.
Yep.
From year to year. It's hard to predict. But hey, your 2 preseason Super Bowl picks of Detroit and was it Baltimore?
Oh yeah, I think it was Baltimore.
I think it was too, and then I think you flipped it maybe.
Yeah.
To the Lions and somebody, was it Buffalo? I think you flipped it when but
but Baltimore still could make
both your teams are still in it, so yeah. Okay, we got a little on a side there, but that's fine because we got a little discussion in about the teams that surprised either way, whether it was good, bad, and some teams they just kind of play right where you expect.
Oh, and I'm kind of surprised the Cardinals didn't make the playoffs.
I was surprised because midway through the season, it seemed like the 49ers and Cardinals were to make the playoffs, and the Rams and Seahawks would miss, and then it just sort of flipped. And the Seahawks still missed, but then those teams that, like the Cardinals and 49ers, I think they both lost about 6 of their last 7 or 8 games. So they really went kind of on a tailspin. Alrighty, should we get into the NFC playoffs? The first of them is at 3:30 on Sunday.
Which?
Let's talk about it.
Packers, Eagles.
Do you show Eagles favored by 4.5?
Yep.
Okay, and I think Grandpa said, hey, Danny really knows his stuff. He's asking, is somebody hurt? Because why is the point spread only 4.5 games or 4.5 points in this game?
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts is a little, he's still recovering from a concussion. Now, I thought I saw something where the Eagles had signed some quarterback while Hurts was hurt, just in case. They need, in case Pickett was hurt, in case Tanner McKee was hurt.
Did Tanner McKee get a little dinged up?
Nope. No? I think he's fine. Fine. They just had this other guy, Ian Book, just in case. Okay? But something they did either yesterday or Monday was they cut Ian Book. They just said, Ian Book, we don't need you anymore. To me, that was a signal that Hurts is healthy. I mean, it might be reading too much into what the Eagles did, but if they just dumped a quarterback, it tells me that somebody is healthy enough to play. And I think that somebody is going to be Jalen Hurts. I'm not a doctor, but I think that's what I think.
Didn't the Eagles pull Tanner McKee out of their practice squad?
That might be true because a lot of teams will only keep 2 quarterbacks on their roster. So they would have gone most of the year with Hurts and Pickett, right? Yeah. But then when Hurts got dinged up, then you can take McKee from your practice squad and move him to the big team. Yeah. To move him to it's called the 53-man roster because you get 53 guys on your actual team, and then there are maybe 10 or 15 guys who can be on the practice squad. How did she get in here? She's smarter than Arrow. Quincy is blind and deaf. Well, she's sticking her head in there. That's not smarter than Arrow. Okay. Getting back to this game. Hey, did you see in the game Jordan Love and Christian Watson were both hurt in the game against the Bears?
Got hurt?
Yeah. And Christian Watson's done. He tore something in his knee. And Jordan Love, he banged his elbow or his hand, and I think his hand was numb or something. He said, I saw a quote, or I saw a headline that said he is hopeful. These dogs are driving me insane, but that's okay. Love said something like, I am hopeful that I can play by Sunday. You know what I'm hopeful for? I'm hopeful Jordan Love never gets feeling back in his right hand. That's what I hope.
Unless he goes to the Bears or something that way.
Let him retire. How about this? Let him play Sunday with no feeling in his right hand, and he can throw 6 interceptions, and then he can say, I guess I have to retire.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great. Philly rested their stars against the Giants. They still won, but it didn't mean anything.
Is Jordan Love old enough to retire?
Not well. Old doesn't really matter in football. It's more like, are you healthy enough? You know, if you get a serious enough injury, you may just not be able to play.
Wasn't it Aaron Rodgers' last game?
We don't know. He is the kind of diva that is just going to prolong this forever. He's just you're gonna hear about it on ESPN and NFL Network all off season. It's just gonna be, will he? Won't he? Where is he? Is he gonna come back? Oh, where's Aaron? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Aaron Rodgers? And what will he do? And you know what my thought is, I don't care. I don't care. But
the Jets are just not gonna be good.
And I don't think he's gonna come back to the Jets. Would you want that guy? 5 wins with all the hype. Oh, just trade for my buddy Davante Adams and everything will be great, guys. They stunk.
Yeah.
They stink. So I think he's done with the Jets. I can't think of a team that would bring him on board. But maybe we should get back to Green Bay, Philly. So Philly rested their stars. Hurts, is he healthy? Is he not? I gave you my sort of reading of the tea leaves to say, I think that because they cut this book character that Hurts is going to be healthy enough to play. But I don't know because I've never, I don't know how to inspect somebody for a concussion. I don't know how to say, yeah, he's ready to go or he's not.
I'm petting the dog.
Now I'm petting the dog only to keep the dog away from the door because she's so blind she just slams her head into the door. So let's just see if we can keep her. And she's off. Okay. The last time these teams played was week 1. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Probably
can't read too much into what happened. But Philly won 34-29 in Brazil. So, with the current situation, I would expect Love and Hurts to play. Today, Wednesday afternoon.
Hopefully Love doesn't, but...
Or he does, and his hand is just this mess that he can't figure out, and he's just throwing balls all over the place.
Malik
Willis?
Yeah, Malik Willis play for the Packers.
Yeah, and he even got a little dinged up at the end of the game where both of them were on the sideline throwing the ball, trying to figure out who's going to go in here for the end of the game because DJ Moore fumbled and opened up the door for the Packers. I wish she would open the door and get the heck out of there because she's driving me nuts. Thank you. Please get her out of here. Yes, rescue her. Thank you. Good. Things are all good now. So, Philly Green Bay, what will happen? What do you see going down in the city of brotherly love, which is Philadelphia? The Link. I think they call their stadium the Link. It's like Lincoln Financial Field or something like that.
I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking the Eagles. No question.
I just can't pick the Packers.
No way.
Oh yeah. Who do you think is gonna make the Pro Bowl?
Pro Bowl? They've announced the teams. I'll show you the list when we're done. How about that?
Sure.
Can I put I'll put a note down, Pro Bowl, before I leave.
Okay.
Okay? We'll look at that.
Um.
One bear made it.
Sweat.
Nope, close defense. Cornerback. You might not know his name.
Was he the guy that was pumping up the crowd?
No, he didn't make the Pro Bowl. It was the guy who knocked the ball out of Jaden Reed's hands in the Bears game. If you saw that, he just punched the ball out while Jaden Reed was running by. Jalen Johnson is his name. He's a corner. Yep, he's pretty good. But you said you can't pick the Packers, so who are you going to pick in this game?
Eagles.
Of course. And by what score?
29-26. I just have a field goal, but...
Yeah, I kind of think Green Bay is going to keep it close. Maybe only because I think Hurts is going to play, but is he going to be a little rusty maybe? I think they're going to really have to lean on Saquon Barkley, which isn't a bad thing to lean on.
I mean...
You know, right?
I call picking him first.
Oh, you're going to pick first in our fantasy draft? No, then there's no protecting of Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs isn't playing. I can't pick Gibbs. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to think of somebody else. Okay, I'll go Eagles 24, Packers 20. 2 more games on Sunday. Or no, 1 game Sunday, 1 game Monday. Both are night games. It's kind of a fun Sunday night game.
Commanders, Bucks.
Yeah, you show Bucks by 3.
Yep.
And I show this game as the game where they expect the most points. 50 and a half points combined is what they're predicting.
Wow.
So highest scoring game. Maybe not a lot of defense this week in this week's game, but we'll see. So like we were talking about when I said, these teams that are surprise teams like Washington, sometimes there's a rookie quarterback. He plays better than you'd think. Jaden Daniels. Sometimes the new head coach, Dan Quinn, does better than you think he would. Now the Washington is looking for their first playoff win in 19 years. It's been since 2005 since the Commanders have won a playoff game.
Wow.
It was a shaky start for the Buccaneers against Spencer Rattler in New Orleans. They were losing 6-16 against the Saints.
Oof.
But then the Commanders came back and won, the Buccaneers came back and won by a score of 27-19. So I think New Orleans was maybe throwing Hail Marys at the end that didn't work or something. That could have maybe tied it.
Oh yeah, what was this probably wasn't this week, but what was that play when the ball was tossed to the, Spencer Rattler threw it to New Orleans. Maybe it was Alvin Kamara, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Tossed it to him. It was tossed back to Spencer Rattler.
Oh, really?
And then threw it deep to the tight end.
Oh, Morrow. I did see that one. They call that a flea flicker a lot of the time. And I didn't see if it was a handoff to the running back and then he pitched it back to Rattler. Is that what they did?
I think it was a throw.
Oh, you think it's a throw? Sometimes they'll do that too, where if you throw it backwards though, like if this is the line of scrimmage and I would be throwing to a guy down there, I could turn and throw it to Kamara or somebody over there, and then Rattler could back up, and Kamara could throw it backwards to Rattler, and then Rattler can chuck it downfield.
I think they were just always behind the line of scrimmage and just tossed it and then tossed it back.
And you can, as long as you're lateraling the ball backwards or passing it backwards behind the line of scrimmage, you always get at least one pass forward over the line of scrimmage. So you could be at the 1 yard line about to score a touchdown, just keep lateraling it backwards if you really wanted to all the way.
I remember the Vikings did that against the Bears when they were down, and the Vikings just kept lateraling
like at the end of the game.
They gave it to a offensive
lineman, big man with football.
And then he fumbled it.
Speaking of big man with football, I forgot to mention this. Did you see the Ravens guy who got the interception? He was like 335 pounds, and he surprisingly backed off the line, and Bailey Zappi for the Browns threw it right to him. He had a path forward, but he took like 4 steps, and then he just dropped to his knees. He was just like, I'm done. I don't think he could run anymore. It was pretty funny. Okay, after a shaky start, the Bucks beat New Orleans and made the playoffs. Kind of similar to Green Bay and Philly, these teams played week 1. Again, how much can you really trust what you saw week 1? But when these teams played, they did play in Tampa, and the Bucks won 37-20. It was Jaden Daniels' first game in the NFL, and he ran for 2 touchdowns, but lost.
Pretty good.
He had a good game. It was the start of a special season for Washington. Okay, I know you like one of these teams because of their quarterback.
Did we say our scores?
We haven't.
For the Commanders.
We haven't.
Commanders 35, Bucks 27.
Okay. I myself, I'm going to be on the other side of this one. I think Baker Mayfield has been underrated this year. Here's a guy, Baker Mayfield, I know this, missed the Pro Bowl. And when you think about it...
he is in 3rd place for fantasy.
And when you think about it, Baker Mayfield had a huge season. He led the NFC in touchdown passes. He won his division. And that's not good enough to make the Pro Bowl. I'll tell you the guys who made it, and you'll have to decide who didn't belong. But
did any
I think
rookies?
it was Jaden Daniels, Goff, and I think Darnold were the 3
for
the NFC. But I will make sure when I look at it.
Darnold?
I think he did. He had a big season, 14 wins. How do you keep him out?
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a backup make the
Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
If you consider him a backup.
Well,
right?
I mean, he's a starter right now, but he would be a backup.
You think? What if he wins a playoff game, or 2, or 3, or 4? Then do you call him a backup? It's a tough choice, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I say my score is Tampa Bay 28, Washington 24?
Okay.
So we're going to be different on 2 games. I keep flipping this over, and the only thing it says is Pro Bowl. I don't need to flip it over anymore. Okay, there is one more game. It is Monday night. So, oh no, are you not going to be able to watch the whole thing again? Who plays?
Vikes Rams.
Vikes and Rams. And do you show Vikings as road favorites by 1.5 points?
2.5.
2.5? Okay, it might have come down. You could put 1.5. I don't know if it'll make a difference for your score. But let's call it 1.5. Bad time for Darnold to have his worst game of the season at Detroit. And it's kind of odd because Detroit's defense had really been struggling against teams.
I mean, but Jack Campbell had a pretty good
Jack
game.
Campbell and that guy Anzalone with the long blonde hair. It was his first game back in a long time, and he was like their leading tackler. And it's crazy to think that one guy coming back to that defense would make that much of a difference. Yeah, but it kind of did.
But did you see Van Ginkel's big hit against Gibbs?
He crushed Gibbs.
Literally.
And on another play, Goff took a shotgun snap and tried to throw it to the side real quick, and Van Ginkel just missed another pick 6. Remember early in the season, I think Daniel Jones he picked off for 6, and he at least got one other one. I forget. Was it against Love? Maybe it was against the Packers.
Oh, yeah, I think it was.
I think it was against the Packers.
But he ran like 30 yards.
Yeah, he had an opportunity for another one against Goff. He just missed it. But he's so good at timing it. And just like, dang. And that hit on Gibbs, whoa. I was a little surprised that Gibbs came back. But then I think he scored 3 or 4 touchdowns after that hit. So it's like, who got the best of that? Probably Gibbs in the long run.
I mean, Van Ginkel just destroyed.
And Gibbs probably spent some time in an ice bath after the game, and the next day, and the next day, because that looked painful. The Rams, they rested their stars. Puka didn't play, Stafford didn't play, Kupp didn't play, Kyron Williams didn't play. And they lost to Seattle. Now, because they lost, Tampa Bay goes to the 3 seed, and the Rams, instead of playing the Commanders, have to play the Vikings.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's tough. And, the Rams had a chance. They could have played all their stars against the Seahawks and tried to beat them. And they didn't really try.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just surprising. You wonder, did they really not care? Because if they lost, they were going to get the loser of the the Lions and Vikings game. That's a tough matchup. So I don't really know what the Rams were thinking. Week 8, you might remember these teams played on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
LA won 30-20 in the City of Angels. And there was a controversial call where Darnold was throwing a pass in the end zone and he got sacked for a safety, but he got pulled down by his face mask.
Oh, yeah.
And if there was a penalty, it was only a 6-point game at that time. You still would have had to wonder, what would Darnold have done? Would he have taken the team 75 yards down the field and won it? I don't know, but we'll never know because the refs blew the call. Well, do you still have faith in the Purple after their disappointing showing against Detroit? Or you're going to take the home team? So no or. You're going with the first. And okay, tell us a little bit about what's going to happen. Who is going to give the Vikings this win?
Addison.
You think it's Addison?
Addison.
Cool. Because Jefferson's going to get all the attention.
Yeah.
Somebody lousy is going to be covering Addison.
Rams have pretty good D, right?
It's good. It's young. It's kind of a surprising defense. I know Jared Verse is this rookie defensive end who I think is supposed to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So he's pretty good. I don't know much about the Rams defense.
I mean, they got 120.
120. So they're in kind of that second group. You can see if they're in that second group, they're not even a starting fantasy defense in our league. So I mean, they're kind of middle of the road, I would call them. They're okay. And the Vikings are probably pretty high on that list, aren't they? Top 5, maybe. Are they? Maybe not.
Yeah, they're actually second.
Oh, wow.
Denver and then Minnesota.
Okay. But I see by fantasy rankings that might be true. But do you really think that the Vikings and Broncos are the best 2 defenses in the NFL?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
You do. Okay.
But I do think Philadelphia has had a pretty good year.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, they are 4th.
Okay.
So.
I agree. We are on the final game. Just to tip your mom off here, we're just discussing the big Rams-Vikings Monday night game. And what have you got for a score, Duder?
Vikings 28. Rams.
Guest appearance from Pat Mahomes, upside down.
Rams 27.
28-27 Purple?
Yep.
Well, you might not be surprised to hear this. I myself am taking the Rams. I may not be popular with you by making that pick, but I'm going to go Rams 27, Vikings 24. And that's that. So, are you excited about the playoffs? Excited about Wild Card Weekend? Good. I am too. So even if the Bears aren't in it, this is a fun time of year because they're a little closer to crowning a champion. So we can still do the old fist pump, right? And the Caleb Williams. Grrr. And happy Wild Card Weekend, people. Happy New Year. And we'll be back next week, right? For the divisional round. Thanks for